better. It's more than just a word.
It's a promise to give our best, develop better technology, create better care, invest in better access.
When you help our veterans get better, it means constantly pursuing your best.
There are thousands of us giving our best every day to heal millions of veterans. Because this is more than a career. This is your life's work.
Well, happy Tuesday and welcome to VA Careers Live. My name is Mike Owens and I'm a recruitment marketing specialist for the Veterans Health Administration, as well as your host of our weekly segment, Talk About It Tuesday. If you're joining us for the first time, I just want to let you know that we are here every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So feel free to grab something to drink, grab a snack, and join us as we talk about careers here at VA. Also, if you're here for the first time or you've been watching us for the last 2 years, we always want you to be part of the conversation. So feel free to leave any questions and comments in the comment section below. My team and I will go through those comments and questions throughout the day and throughout the week. And also, at the end of our broadcast, we're going to pick a few questions to answer live. So I love that new feature that we've been offering the last few weeks. I think you guys are enjoying it. We get a lot more questions from you guys, and keep them coming. So even if I don't have a chance to answer your questions on our live today, our team and I will still go through those comments and questions throughout the week and make sure they're answered in the chat box. Also, we want you to share our broadcast because we all know someone who wants to work here at VA. So we ask that you please hit the share button. And we have a special hashtag that's attached to this program. And it's called #WorkAtVA. Again, #WorkAtVA. Click that share button. Use that hashtag, and this information will get out to as many people as possible. So before we get into our topic today, today is National Taco Day. And we all know that today is Tuesday and it's Taco Tuesday. So the first question I have for you guys today is what is your favorite restaurant to get tacos from? If you were going to hang out tonight for Taco Tuesday, where is your go-to restaurant for Taco Tuesday? And go ahead and put that in the comment section below. We have a restaurant here, and again, this is not an endorsement, but we have a restaurant here in New Orleans called El Patron, and it's probably the best Mexican food I've had in my life. So that's my favorite. So again, with it being National Taco Day, and it's also Taco Tuesday, again, what's your favorite go-to taco restaurant or Mexican restaurant where you like to get tacos? So go ahead and put that into the comment section below. Also, again, I like talking about football, and you guys know that I am a New Orleans Saints fan because I am from New Orleans, and we kind of had a little bad game out in London, and some of it was us, the Saints, and their play calling, but again, the Saints got I would say screwed by the ref. So if you are a Vikings fan out there, I know you probably have to say something differently, but tell me, how did your NFL, college, or high school football team this week? How did they do this past weekend? So thank you. I can't wait to see those comments. So today we're going to be talking about entry-level positions. And I know that we have a very unique audience. Every broadcast, once the broadcast is over, I try to go through the comments and, answer some of the questions that I can answer. But it also allows me a chance to kind of look at our audience, see some of you guys' profiles and see who's really trying to get a job here at VA. And I know a lot of times when the world thinks about entry-level positions, we think about people who are just getting out of college, people who may have little to no work experience, and they're just trying to get their foot in the door so they can gain experience. But as I look at our audience, I see that it's a little different. We have people who are seeking out entry-level positions that have enormous amount of work experience. We have a lot of people who are getting out of the military or retired from the military. and you guys have an amazing amount of work experience, but you're trying to get your foot in the door in a civilian position. We have military spouses out there who have traveled with their spouses to different duty stations, and you all have worked in different capacities at those different duty stations, and you have a lot of work experience. We have a lot of people just out there that just want to get into VA, and you have a lot of experience. A lot of you all have advanced degrees, and so I just wanted to kind of come from that standpoint today with entry level positions, because again, I know sometimes it can be, you know, you're like, man, I was in the military, I was a senior NCO, or I was an officer. Some of you are, you know, field grade officers and above, and, you know, you're just trying to get your foot in the door in the civilian life. So a lot of times we want to go look for those GS 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 positions. And that's all great. If you feel like you are qualified for those positions, I will never tell you to not apply for them. If you come out the military and you have the experience of a GS-14, a GS-12, a GS-15, I would say go apply for it. I will never not tell you to do that. But I want to talk on the entry-level side of the house. You know, entry-level position, again, the world says it's a position where someone with little to no experience, or someone that's just coming out of school, they're trying to get their foot in the door. But for a lot of you, again, like I said, you're trying to work for the VA, so a lot of you are willing to take that foot in the door. And I don't even want to call it an entry-level position. A lot of you want to, you know, get that foot in the door position just so you can get your foot in the door and then expand from there. So, you know, there's a lot of importance to entry-level jobs. Again, getting your foot in the door. A lot of us did that. I was in the military, and when I came into the VA, I had a lot of experience as a military journalist. But when I came into the VA, even after having all that experience, I came in as a GS-5, which is an entry-level position. And I had to work myself up to where I'm at now. So it doesn't take long. It didn't take me long to move up, but it is a humbling experience when you have all the experience and you're coming in as a GS-5. And there's nothing wrong with a GS-5. I mean, every position is important here with the VA. But I would say there's a lot of importance of taking that entry-level position, especially if you're trying to get in with the VA, if you're not having luck with your upper-level GS positions, all right? So what are the advantages of entry-level positions from that standpoint? The first thing I say is training. A lot of times when we come out the military, you know, or if we have experience in other career fields and we come into the VA, a lot of times we come in a position that because it's entry level, we come in with the experience, but we don't come in with the experience of that particular career field. When I came into the VA, I had a lot of experience as a public affairs person, a military journalist, and when I got my GS-5 position in the VA, I was a volunteer service assistant in the community relations office, which means I was in charge of onboarding, training, and sending volunteers to the various departments at the New Orleans VA hospital. I had never done volunteer service before, but I figured, okay, this is what I need to do to get my foot in the door, and it worked. And you know, the importance of entry-level job, especially if you have that experience, is that you can come into another career field, you can get experience in that career field, but at the same time, you still have the experience from your other career field that you have that you can use in future positions. Now that you're foot in the door, you're a federal employee, and it's kind of easier. I won't say that you will get the job, but I think there's more jobs open to you if you're already a federal employee, because there are a lot of jobs that are not open to the public, but they're open to federal employees. So if you're already a federal employee, you have a few more jobs that are open to you once you get your foot in the door. So you can either grow in your new career field that you took on when you came to the VA, or if you want to switch back over into the old career field, and now that you're in the door, you can start applying for jobs that are open to you in your old career field. You can do that. So that's the importance of an entry-level position. Another one is you gain valuable experience about the VA. You know, you come into the VA, you don't know anything about the VA. In orientation, you learn about the culture of the VA, you learn about the mission of the VA, and basically, to work for the VA, you have to buy into that mission. That mission is making sure that we take care of our nation's heroes, which are our veterans. And we have to buy into that mission, because if you don't buy into that mission and you're just looking at it as a job, then you're not doing your best to take care of the nation's heroes. So you get a chance to learn about the VA. You get a chance to learn about the inner workings of the VA, because even if you hold a position in a non-government organization, when you come to a government organization, the rules are different sometimes. We have more federal rules and regulations that we have to follow. And sometimes you get to learn the inner workings. You get to learn how different the federal government works versus a non-government organization or a private company. Room for growth and advancement. Like, again, you get that foot in the door position, especially if it's in a career field that you've never worked in before. You get to grow in that new career field. And you may like that new career field. And guess what? You may get promoted within that career field. Or again, as I mentioned earlier, you might come in and in a newer career field just to get your foot in the door, but you can see the other open opportunities in the career field that you came from, and you can apply for those positions since your foot is in the door. Another big thing about taking an entry-level position with the VA is the amount of networking that you can do. Depending on your position, you may have to attend a lot of meetings across the facility, across the VA medical center, or if you're working for a VA program office that's not particularly attached to a medical center, you're going to be meeting different managers, you're going to be meeting different supervisors, you're going to be meeting people from different offices. And again, it gives them a chance to see your work ethic. It gives them a chance to see your experience. And at the same time, it gives you a chance to kind of just look around and see, okay, I may be interested in this department in the future, or I may be interested in that department in the future. So it gives you a chance to be able to network and kind of get a feel of the VA facility that you're at. And again, you can, network and see, get to know people and get to know your fellow coworkers that may work in different offices. And again, you'll be able to network and see what areas you may want to work in the future. Because again, working at the VA, there's a lot of different opportunities and different career fields that you can move up to or move into, and there's just a lot. Since I've been working for the VA for a little bit over 6 years, well, not a little bit, almost 7 years. And the different things I've done over the last 7 years, and the different people, all the different people that I've met, from all over the country, besides the military, I would have not gained that much experience and that much exposure over, at a private company. It's just a lot. So yes, I am the poster boy for working at the VA, because I want you to know that you're gonna really learn a lot. And I think that networking is a great opportunity when you do take an entry-level position. Also, you get to gain references. If you're working at a facility and you want to grow within that VA facility, guess what? Your coworkers and those managers or those people that you network with throughout that VA facility, guess what? Those can become references. So everybody who gets hired for the VA, no matter if you are a new hire or you're a current employee that's moving to a new position, your hiring manager will contact your references. And so if you network with people around a facility that get to see your work ethic and that get to see the great things you do in that entry-level position at the VA, guess what? You've got a lot of great references that can talk highly of you, and they're very credible. So again, network and make sure you get those references, all right? So again, I know we're talking about entry-level positions, and I know we're talking about those get in the door type positions. And again, I would say apply for any job that you feel like you're eligible to be, or you have the experience for. So if you're coming out the military, or you're a military spouse, or you're even someone that's never served in a government organization or never served in the military, and you feel like you have enough experience to be a GS 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, apply for those positions if you feel you're qualified for it. But if you also have been applying for those positions and you feel like I'm hitting a brick wall or no doors are opening, I would say don't feel bad, and don't feel like you're shortchanging yourself by getting one of those entry-level foot in the door positions, because I did it after all the experience I had in the military, I still had to come in an entry level position, and I was able to work myself up through a lot of pay grades. So I would say don't feel ashamed. Don't feel like, you know, you're not going to be using your skill set. You will be, and you're going to be learning new skill sets in that entry level position. Because again, especially if it's a position that in a career field that you've never worked in, and they hire you in that position, that's something new you can add to your resume now. Guess what I did, and any different career fields that you can put on your resume will definitely help you. So if you have any questions about entry level positions, just make sure you put those into the comment section. And now I'll go over and see what questions that we have. So here, let me just hit on the chat box here. All right, let's see what I have. All right, let me just kind of scroll, and I'll see. I don't have a lot of time, but I'll try to get a few of them out here. All right, so I think we have a question from, looks like LaDonna. LaDonna is asking, oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? Okay, here it is. It says, LaDonna is asking, I applied for the HR Star program. So the HR Star is a new human resources internship that's going to be starting in the next few months, next couple of months. So that's what the HR Star program is. It's a 1-year internship where the VA is hiring over 1,000 people to serve as interns, and after 1 year, they'll be placed in permanent HR positions across VA. So LaDonna says, I applied for the HR Star program in August. What is the average screening time for those applicants? So I will say this, LaDonna, is that right now within VA, we put out those announcements a couple of months ago, and we've gotten an overwhelming amount of applicants for that HR Star program. Right now, what the VA is doing right now is that they're putting together the internal HR Star team, which means that in order for us to have this internship, we have to have people within VA to run that program. So those positions are being filled right now. So once the internal HR Star program those positions are filled, then VA is going to start going through those applications and recruiting for those 1,000 HR Star positions. Now, we may not hire all 1,000 at one time. We may do it in increments, but so don't feel like you missed out if you've applied for it and you haven't heard anything. They're, again, like I said, they're putting together the internal team that's going to manage the HR Star program. Once all of those vacancies are filled, then that office is going to start screening and interviewing and hiring those people for that internship. So just stay tight. It hasn't happened yet. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start that. You'll start seeing some movement. But again, you haven't missed out yet, LaDonna. We're still putting that team together internally so we can start with the hiring process for the HR Star program. So I hope that I was able to answer your question. Thank you for submitting that question. All right, so let's see, what else do we have? Again, someone asked about the HR Star criteria. Right now, again, as I said, for the HR Star program, it looks like Roy said, how do you apply for the HR Star program? Roy, as I mentioned with the answer to LaDonna, we've already had that announcement out. We put that announcement out a couple of months ago. And so that announcement is closed. Now, that's not to say that that announcement won't reopen. We haven't even started screening those applications yet. So once we start screening the applications, that announcement may open back up. So it's going to be a continuous thing. It's not something that we just put out. It's going to close. We're going to always be hiring for the HR Star program because we want to make sure that we get all those spots filled for that internship. So I'll be sure once that announcement comes back out for more applicants, I'll be sure to put it across this program so you guys can be very aware when that comes up and you can apply for it if you feel that you want to be part of the HR Star program. So let's see what else we have here. I'm just it looks like we have a question from Sonia. Sonia says, how long does it take to get an offer letter? So again, the hiring, there's no specific timeline when it comes to the hiring process, Sonia. When you are when you go through the hiring process and you submit your application, the announcement closes. Once the announcement closes, you get an email saying that you've been referred to the hiring manager. The hiring manager has to look through all those references and pick a handful of people that they want to interview. So if a hiring manager gets 50 applications, most of the time they're not going to interview all 50 people. They're going to kind of pick maybe between 5 and 10 of the most highly qualified candidates from that list, that referral list, and then they'll interview those candidates. And so that can take, a time that can span over 2 or 3 weeks, because again, the hiring managers have to the interview panel has to put their schedule together, and they have to match their schedule up with the people with the candidates that are going to be interviewing. So, once the interview is over, again, there may be a second round of interviews. Some interview panels, they like to have a second round. Some are able to pick someone or select someone from the first round. And then once that's over, that name is sent to HR. Your human resources representative will reach out to you and say, hey, you've been selected for the position. And then it just goes from there. So there's no specific timeline. I've seen some offer letters come out immediately. I've seen some come out, months later. And that can also depend on if you are a new hire, like if you're coming onto the VA and you've never worked for the VA before, that process can be a little bit longer because the background check can possibly take a little bit longer because everyone has to go through a background check. Versus if you're already a VA employee and you're going from one position to the next, that process may be take a little bit less time because you're already in the system as a VA employee. So again, Sonia, I really can't give you a timeline on that. It just depends. There's a lot of different factors that go into the hiring process in that timeline. I would just say if you feel that too much time has elapsed since the last part that you were in the hiring process, reach out to the point of contact on the job announcement. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Sonia. All right, let's see. Diana is asking what job family are the community care positions filed under? Are these only for nurses? Diana, I will tell you, I don't know the answer to that. I would have to see some of the announcements, but what I will do, I will go back and I'll research that answer for you, and hopefully I can put an answer under your comment in the comment section. So stay tuned this week, Diana, and I'll try to get that answer for you. Are peer recovery supporter positions entry level? So Curtis, some of them are. I know a lot of peer support specialist positions are like GS7, GS9, which are kind of, entry levels into the mid-grade levels. But yeah, peer support specialists, those positions can be foot in the door positions, but the requirements for those positions are very, very specific. So it's a peer support specialist is not a position that anyone can apply for. There are a lot of different requirements that you have to be able to even apply for or be eligible for that position. So while they can be entry-level positions, you have to make sure that you meet all the requirements, because if you don't meet all the requirements to be a peer support specialist, then you won't even make it to the hiring manager. So again, they can be entry-level positions, but again, make sure that you meet all of the requirements for a peer support specialist, because there are certain things that they want. There are certain things that they want you to have in your background in order to be a peer support specialist. Let's see, what do we have here? We have it looks like another Sonia asked, how do I get a PSA? PSA is Program Support Assistant. How do I get in as a Program Support Assistant? She says she's moving to Greensboro and want to get in the Kernersville VA. Is there someone I can speak to? So the first thing I would say, Sonia, is in order for you to get the position, it has to be open. So if you go to VA Careers and you put in that location in VA Careers and you put in Program Support Assistant, if you see positions that are open, apply for them. Honestly, you really can't. There's there's never, I won't say never, because some provider positions they don't announce, but for like program support assistants and all that, those announcements that are normally announced to the public. So I know a lot of times, you know, a lot of people may feel like there are positions within VA that are never announced and they're just being given to other VA employees. That's not true. But again, the first thing you have to do is go to vacareers.va.gov or USA Jobs and see if there's a position open at that facility or in that location where you want to work. Once it's open, then just all I can say is apply for it. See if you're eligible for it, apply for it, and try to make sure that your resume shows that you're really highly qualified for that position. So again, there are no ghost positions out there that are not on USA Jobs or VA Careers. For the most part, you have to that position has to be open to the public, and you just have to make sure that your application shows that you're the best person or the best candidate for that position. So if you're interested in being a program support assistant, go into VA Careers in the search button, type in program support assistant. If you want to work for the VA, filter all the VA. Well, on VA Careers, it'll only show you the VA positions. But if you are in USA Jobs and you want to work for the VA, make sure in the filtering section where you get to kind of filter your results, click on Department of Veterans Affairs, and you'll see only the VA positions there. Peggy is asking, trying to move up to a GS7 position. I have clinical and administrative experience in the VA. What can I do to make my chances better? I have been applying like crazy. So first of all, Peggy, thank you for applying for those jobs, and thank you for your question today. The best answer that I can have is just make sure your resume shows that you're the best candidate for the position. A lot of times we work in positions and we know that we're the best highly qualified person for that vacancy, but our resume and our application has to show the hiring manager that you're the best qualified person for that position. So you have to make sure your resume is tailored to that specific announcement. Again, I always say, don't use the same resume for every position. Make sure you read through the job announcement and make sure that your resume closely matches the job announcement. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. Just make sure that your application shows that you're the most highly qualified person for that position. Because again, you know that you're highly qualified, but the hiring manager doesn't know that you're highly qualified. So that application has to be able to relay that to the hiring manager. And the way you do that is to make sure that your resume is closely tailored to the position that you're applying for. And that is the best advice that I can give when you're trying to come on top in a job interview or when you're applying for a position, is that make sure that your resume is tailored to the job announcement. All right, so I think I have time for one more. So I hope I don't say this wrong, but it looks like Ambrosine, I think that's the name. What is a direct hire position? So a direct hire, now every position that's open with the VA is not direct hire. You have certain positions that fall under certain qualifications. Some are accepted service and not competitive service. There's just a lot of different requirements, but there are some positions within VA where someone can be directly hired. What direct hire is that means, you know, the hiring manager doesn't really have to interview that person. They can just look at their resume and say, okay, this person looks qualified, so I'm going to start the hiring process just from looking at the candidate's resume. There are some direct hire positions out there. Again, if you want to know if a position is direct hire, it is stated inside of the job announcement. But yes, a direct hire position is a position where the hiring manager can hire based off of the candidate's resume and application, and bypassing the interview process. They can just pick that person and hire that person. But again, for it to be direct hire, it has to state it inside of the job announcement. So every position is not direct hire. And so if you read and you don't see direct hire within that job announcement, then that position is most likely not a direct hire position. So that's all the time that I have. I've enjoyed spending the last 30 minutes with you all. Again, for those who have submitted questions in the chat box, if those questions were not answered by me today, again, I haven't forgotten about you. We'll go through those questions throughout the day and throughout the week, and we'll make sure that we answer those questions in the chat box. So Make sure you check your LinkedIn throughout the week, and you may get your answer, or most likely get your question answered in the chat box. As I mentioned earlier, today is National Taco Day. So what is your go-to restaurant when you want to go have tacos? I can't wait to hear that answer in the comment section. And I want to know how your favorite football teams did this weekend. So with that, thank you for watching. I really appreciate that you guys log in every Tuesday to watch us, whether it's me on the program or it's one of my colleagues that are answering questions. We really appreciate that. We see your comments. We've even got comments that this program has helped some of you get jobs within the VA, and that's what we're here for. We're here for you. I'm not here for me. We're here for you. We want to make sure that we continue to offer this service and make sure that you guys are getting the advice that you need to become a VA employee one day, or if you're already a VA employee, help you move into another position within VA. So with that, thank you for watching. I can't wait to see you guys on next week. And if it's Tuesday, we're definitely going to talk about it. Have a great day.